Hello and welcome back to the Student Pages podcast. Once again, I am your host, Grace Sanders, and unfortunately, you might be able to tell my voice isn't very well right now. But luckily, I am joined by the incredibly talented voice and personality of Sabine Sauvage. How are you, Sabine? How are you doing?
Good, I'm doing good. How are you?
Well, I could be doing better. I'm going to be honest. Now, I see that you're in like somewhat of like a Swedish sauna-esque background there. What have you been up to this weekend?
Nothing much. I mean, we just got into Nashville from Chicago on Friday, and ever since then I've been working. So Friday worked on some new songs with my writer, Stephanie Middleton, and then today we're shooting some new images for the website. So it's been really exciting.
Now, you say that sounds like work, but that sounds like the best weekend ever. Have you
Yeah.
been to Nashville before?
Yeah, I've been here so many times. I've come here pretty often because the producer I work with, Keith Thomas, is here, based here. So we take turns. He comes to Chicago, I work with him there, and then I come to Nashville, and then you know how that works.
See, I can tell you're an industry pro because you are jet setting, you are name dropping, just off
Yeah.
the cuff, cool as anything.
I've had my fair share. I love to watch these interviews, like for one of my some of my favorite artists. So
Brilliant. Now, I say that you're an industry pro, you are very, very seasoned, but this is because you started incredibly young. Now, to make me feel very jealous, how old actually are you?
I'm 17 now.
Oh, don't tell me. I feel even older with my little grandma voice. Now, we've had like a couple of younger guests on the podcast before, but I always like to take things right back to when you first started your passion for music, which I believe you were only like a tot, you were only a couple of
Yeah,
years old.
yeah. I mean, I always remember my dad just playing music in the car. I'd just be belting it. And then like there was one day I vividly remember like I was in the back seat and it was Take Me to Church by Hosier and I was singing it and my dad looks back and he's like, and I'm like, because I mean, I think that was the moment where he realized that, that I guess I
Mhm.
could actually sing. And then ever since then, I've just been singing all the time. And then when I was around 8 or 9, I started writing my own songs and I kept it to myself at first. And then I eventually shared it with my dad, and he's like, we have to do something with this. Like, we have to, make an album or something. And so that's when that started. And yeah, it just seems so real because it doesn't seem that long ago to me.
It sounds like you've got like an amazing support system with your dad. Like I believe he's with you in Nashville right now.
Yeah, he just went back into his room, but yeah, he's always here with me, supporting me all along the way. So it's really nice.
See, I know you've probably got a lot of influence from your parents, which we'll talk about your musical influence a little bit later, but you've always been a part of like much larger like singing groups and musical groups as a child as well. How did you like find and like work your way up out of a group into being like a solo star?
Right. So I started in Chicago Children's Choir when I was younger, and like it was really good at first to kind of introduce me to some more musical concepts to make me like music theory, all that stuff. It was a really good introduction to all this stuff, and then once I started like evolving more and like learning more about these concepts, it kind of like helped me go off by myself and be able to, sit by the piano, do chords and understand like what I'm actually doing. And then that's kind of when I realized that like, oh, I can do this by myself. I don't need other people like behind me to do it with me. So that's kind of when I figured that out.
And you're still in school, right? Are you studying singing, or would you say you're more of a music student than a singing student?
I'm more of a music student, but also only in high school. My high school doesn't really like, there's not a lot of heavy focus on musical classes or anything. So I kind of rely on sources outside of school. And then school is more like academic based, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So.
So how are you finding like balancing those two things as well? Because I had like one Amdram class after school, and that was it for me. I clocked out after that.
It's definitely hard and it's a lot of work, but I don't see like sitting at my computer and, trying to like come up with melodies, all that stuff. That doesn't seem as like a task for me. It's more of a hobby. So it's more fun for me. But
Mhm.
definitely with, coming to Nashville pretty often, it gets a little busy, but I'm very dedicated. I'm motivated. So like it's easy to manage my work and then manage music on the side. So yeah.
Absolutely. And like when you started properly doing music as like a solo, I believe you released your first EP when you were only like 13, so you'd literally just got into being a teenager. I think I was full of angst at that point rather than music.
Yeah, it was definitely, I mean, I look back at it now and I just sound like such like a little baby, but it's kind of nice to look back at because like I realized like, oh, 13-year-olds at that age were not doing the same thing that I was doing.
So you have all of that like career experience and you've been building upon that EP. And you just said when you looked back, you thought you were like a little baby. Like, how has your sound matured since then? Even though it's only been like 4 years, which to me means
Right.
nothing, but when you're a teen, it means absolutely everything.
Yeah, big difference. I've also done a lot of professional voice lessons, so that enhanced my tone a lot. And also when I was younger, so my like overall like my favorite artist has always been Ariana Grande. And you know how she sings like it's very sometimes a little nasally and she does a lot of those runs. And I would always as a young girl like try to replicate that. So in like my old EP, you can hear me like trying to sound like Ariana Grande, but now after doing like vocal training and singing the stuff that I like to sing and doing my own songs, it's like created more like my own voice, but also with a mix of like if that like if the little runs, all that stuff.
Now, like when I hear her, like she makes that like breath work feel
Yeah,
so easy. And then when you
right.
even try and do it, you're trying to go from like here to here in absolutely no time
Yeah.
whatsoever.
That is really hard. I mean, I used to do that when I was younger, but now I don't know if I can do that anymore.
See, and I bet you were introduced to Ariana Grande as a pop star, as a musician. Are you slightly too late for Ariana Grande, the Disney actress?
Yeah, I actually used to watch her all the time on Nickelodeon, and when she was like the famous pop star. I didn't know that that was her on Nickelodeon until like I don't know, but I mean it was surprising for me. I've always loved her.
How do you feel? I think she's Oscar nommed. I know Cynthia
Yeah,
definitely was for the Wicked
yeah,
film. Have you seen that?
it's too. Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it like 4 times. It's so good.
See, would you ever stray into musical theatre and kind of branching out and trying to do triple threat, or use this like this is it, this is singing?
I mean, not like for performance wise, I definitely enjoy singing musical theater because I like to have like the range of a bunch of different genres. And when I did vocal training, like musical theater is such a different spot in your voice and it helps you also like learn how to act and all that stuff. So like definitely for more of like a vocal training aspect, but not for performance.
See that's it. A lot of the new pop girlies, Sabrina Carpenter, Renee Rapp, do have the roots in musical theatre because I do think just trying to day in, day out hit those notes at like an incredible pace probably gives you all of that training, as is, like you mentioned. So we
Yeah.
talked about Ariana Grande, but we've also talked about who you are as a maturing performer. And now, who else do you actually look at within your catalogue in order to like reach those different genres and reach out across your vocal range?
I mean, now I love Tate McRae. I mean, also ever since I was younger, my dad, he's a big like rock fan, heavy metal fan, so I really love bands like Motley Crue, Def Leppard, and that's kind of been like my whole childhood. And I really like how that kind of like I have aspects of not only like a pop star, but I love like the whole rock era and all that stuff. So I would love like in the future to definitely involve that in some of my music. And I love like the aesthetic of all that stuff. So definitely
Mm.
like rock bands. Let's see. I mean, I love all genres. I love country. My playlist like that I have now is so like it goes from like Elvis Presley to like Iron Maiden to Bob Marley. It's just so off the board.
I know if it's too personal, but if you brought up your Spotify right now, what is the song that's on repeat? Dare you tell us?
Oh gosh, okay, let's see. On repeat as of now, it's Life in the Fast Lane by the Eagles. That's my most repeated song as of right now.
I love that.
Whenever I'm driving my friends and I always, blast the music all the time, they're always like, "How do you go from Morgan Wallen to like Buddy Holly?" It's just. But they get a lot of my like I whenever we're in the car, it's always like, "All right, Sabine, here's the aux." I always get the aux for the
You
music.
trusted with the aux.
Right, that's a
I'm not
big
allowed
thing.
near that thing. It's like I'm like a person that listens to one song on repeat for maybe 3 weeks, and then I'll
Yeah.
change the song, and then I'll be like, I never want to listen to it again. So you've spoken a lot about rock music, and you have an upcoming single which is coming out on March the 7th called Hide and Seek. Do we get to hear any of those rock influences within that?
Not so much in the song, but if you see the music video, there's a look that's very, I'd say it looks rock. It's sparkly. I mean, it's leather jacket. You would definitely think it has that aspect of it. And that's kind of what we were going for. I didn't want to like, all the looks are very different from each other, and I definitely wanted to involve something with the more like rock aspect. I don't know. I just love the whole aesthetic of it.
But I believe you're out here filming this in Nashville, which is where you currently are as well. And you said you've been to Nashville quite a lot just before on the call. Do you take a lot of like cowboy influence? Is it all that? Is it the leather jacket meeting the cowboy boots?
A little bit. There's definitely in some of my photos on the website that we had previously. I mean, there's some shoots where we're walking down Broadway and I have my cowboy boots on. I mean, I also love that aesthetic, but that's definitely like hard to mix in with pop star and rock star, like, all together. But I don't oppose to it. I mean, I love the style, I love the music, so.
A lot of musicians nowadays are having like eras. So, like, obviously, we had the Eras tour from Taylor Swift. What would you say your old era was, and what would you say your new era is?
I think old era is more, if I'm comparing it, like, how Taylor Swift writes, I guess like not sadder songs, but I think like more just happy, cheerful. And I think nowadays, like it's more confident, empowering, and I really like the music that like you can easily dance to, and it's just nothing like, not as of now, like I have a couple songs that I've written that's a little sadder, but I like the dancing ones more, so that's kind of how I'm straying to right now.
That's good to hear. Dance is
Yeah.
back. Brat was
Yeah.
back. It showed us last year.
Yeah.
See, and what inspires those lyrics when you are writing those more meaningful pieces?
I think a lot of comes from personal experience. It's kind of like a way, like for me, I'm very enclosed with my emotions and I don't like to share it with a lot of people, but writing music, especially those personal ones, like it kind of helps me express what I'm feeling and it's kind of like a way of like it's kind of like a therapy for me to be honest, so it can just like let me spill out my emotions but not like directly.
And if you get it to add it to a dance beat, then great.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. And see, this is the Student Pages podcast, which is a question we always ask. However, I feel like reversing it almost because obviously you are too young to be a student at what you guys would call college, what we would call university. But what advice do you have out there for people of any age who are just starting out within music, within singing, or maybe just joined a choir?
Yeah, I think definitely like I mean, I wouldn't be able to make through this if I wasn't motivated. I mean, you have to stay consistent and you don't listen to any other people. I mean, I remember when I was younger, a bunch of people used to say stuff about my old album and I'm just doing what I love. You never listen to people if they have negative things to say. And time management, which is tricky, but as you get older, like it'll get better and just push through all those hard times and stay
Mhm.
motivated is the main thing.
Absolutely. And I bet you mentioned you got a lot of support from your parents, you got a lot of support from like your choirs that you were in, but like when you're going to shoots like you've been today, or possibly even any auditions for labels, etc., how do you actually keep a bottle on those nerves? Or have you just been well trained from the start?
I mean, I mean, I guess yeah, my first times it's definitely nervous, but the people I surround myself and especially if my family's there, it comforts me a lot. And like go in it with a confident manner. Don't be like, "Oh, I can't do this." Blah, blah, blah. Like in the end, it'll all work out, which have I've learned because I remember going to my first photo shoot, I was like, "I'm not gonna be able to do this." And then it was just like fine. My photographer was just keep it comfortable and all that stuff, and then I just you kind of like learn, I mean, you learn from yourself. It starts when you're a little nervous, but eventually you get used to it and it's kind of how it works.
And you'll only get that as you mature as a musician even more.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, see, we've spoken a little bit about Hide and Seek, which is coming out on March 7th. Keep on mentioning that. But what else we have for you in the future?
I definitely have more songs in the works and a couple ones that I really, really, really love. So I'm excited to see what comes from that. Definitely soon after Hide and Seek. Hopefully in the future, I want to make an album with, some of those personal songs too, and then also the dancey songs and maybe like a couple rock songs.
Fantastic. It's been so lovely to talk to you, Sabine.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much for having me.
And a huge thank you to our sponsors at Smart Buy Glasses. Smart Buy Glasses prides itself on providing unbeatable range, expert advice from its certified opticians, and world-class support from its customer experience team. So put your best face forward as you head back onto campus with eyewear designed for lectures and leisure. Check the link below for exclusive student discounts off frames and lenses.